You could be the most beautiful woman in the room, the most attractive, the most accomplished, but if you ignore these 4 rules, men will forget you the moment someone else walks into their life. And here's what might shock you. The women men secretly miss, the ones they can't stop thinking about months or even years later, aren't necessarily the ones who love them the most. They're the ones who understood something about male psychology that most women completely overlook. I'm going to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable, but it's the absolute truth. The women men obsess over, lose sleep over, and secretly compare every other woman to aren't the ones who gave them everything. They're the ones who gave them just enough while keeping something sacred for themselves. And once you understand these 4 rules, you'll never have to wonder again why some women become unforgettable while others become easily replaceable. What if I told you that the reason men move on so easily has nothing to do with how much you love them and everything to do with how you love them? That the very behaviors you thought showed your devotion are actually what made you forgettable. Today, we're going to uncover 4 psychological triggers that create the kind of longing in men that lasts for years, not days. But here's the catch. These rules require you to do the exact opposite of what every romantic movie has taught you to do. Before we dive into these 4 rules, let's get something straight. Being missed isn't about playing games or being manipulative. It's not about withholding love or creating drama. It's about understanding that the human heart values what it has to work for and takes for granted what comes too easily. Most women have been conditioned to believe that love means total availability, complete transparency, and endless giving. But here's what years of stewed, dying human psychology has revealed. The women who haunt men's thoughts long after the relationship ends are the ones who maintain their mystery, protected their energy, and never made loving them feel like a given. Men don't miss women, rule A1, respect yourself enough to walk away, who made their lives easier. They miss women who made their lives more interesting. They don't long for the ones who solved all their problems. They yearn for the ones who inspired them to become better problem solvers themselves. Think about the last person you couldn't stop thinking about. I guarantee it wasn't someone who told you everything about themselves on the first date. It wasn't someone who was available every time you called. It was someone who left you wanting more. Someone whose depths you felt you were still discovering. The 4 rules we're about to explore aren't about becoming someone you're not. They're about becoming so secure in who you are that you don't need constant validation from anyone else. They're about understanding that the right man won't just love you, he'll be haunted by the thought of losing you. So if you've been wondering why men seem to lose interest after a few months, if you've been exhausted from giving your all only to be forgotten, this is your awakening. The woman you're about to become doesn't get replaced, she gets remembered. Rule number 1, never make loving you feel inevitable. The fastest way to become forgettable is to make a man feel like your love is guaranteed no matter what he does. When you're always available, always understanding, always ready to forgive without him having to earn it back, you're not being loving, you're being predictable. And predictable is the enemy of passion. Here's what most women don't understand about male psychology. Men are hunters by nature, not in a predatory way, but in the sense that they're wired to pursue, to win, to earn what they value. When you remove all challenge from loving you, you remove all the satisfaction that comes with winning your heart. This doesn't mean being difficult or playing hard to get in manipulative ways. It means understanding that love should feel like a privilege, not an entitlement. When a man knows that no matter how he treats you, no matter how much effort he puts in, your love will always be there unchanged. That love loses its power to motivate him. The women men miss are the ones who made their love feel earned, not assumed. They were warm and affectionate. But that warmth felt special because it wasn't available to everyone all the time. They showed love generously, but they also showed that this generosity had to be met with equal investment. Think about it this way. When so is scarce, we treasure it. When something is abundant, we waste it. This is basic human psychology. When your love, attention, and energy feel limitless and unconditional, they become less valuable to the person receiving them. But when a man feels that your love is something beautiful he gets to experience because he's worthy of it, because he's earned it through his actions and consistency, that love becomes precious to him. It becomes something he actively works to keep because he understands it could be lost if he doesn't value it properly. This is why men miss the women who had standards. Not impossible standards, not game-playing standards, but clear expectations about how they want it to be. Rule 82A. Don't chase. Let him miss you treated. These women didn't threaten or ultimatum their way into respect. They simply showed through their actions that love without respect wasn't love at all. When you make loving you feel inevitable, you train a man to take you for granted. When you make it feel earned, you train him to cherish you. And men don't miss what they took for granted. They miss what made them feel like they were worthy of something extraordinary. Rule number 2, keep your own world intact. The women men can't forget are the ones who enhance their world rather than abandoning their own to live in his. When you make a man your entire universe, you don't become more important to him. You become smaller. You become someone who needs him to feel complete rather than someone who chooses him from a place of wholeness. Most women, when they fall in love, start shrinking their world. They cancel plans with friends to be available for him. They give up hobbies that used to bring them joy. They stop pursuing goals that excited them. They think this shows dedication, but what it actually shows is dependency. And dependency isn't attractive. Independence is men don't miss women who made them the center of their universe because there's no mystery there, no discovery, no depth to explore. When your entire identity becomes wrapped up in being someone's girlfriend, you lose the very qualities that made you attractive in the first place. But when you keep your own world intact, something magical happens. You remain interesting because you're always growing, always experiencing new things, always bringing fresh energy into the relationship. You become someone he wants to explore rather than someone he's already figured out completely. The woman who maintains her friendships, pursues her passions, and continues building her own life doesn't become less available for love. She becomes more magnetic because she's choosing to share her full rich life with someone rather than expecting them to become her entire reason for living. This is why men miss the women who had their own gulps, their own friend groups, their own sources of happiness. These women brought stories to the relationship. They brought growth. They brought the excitement of someone who was actively creating a life worth sharing. When you keep your world intact, you also protect yourself from losing your identity in someone else's. You remain the person he fell in love with rather than becoming a shadow of yourself who exists only in relation to him. You stay whole, which means you can love from overflow rather than need. Men don't miss empty vessels who existed only to be filled by their presence. They miss full, vibrant women who shared their fullness generously but never depleted themselves in the process. They miss women who made them feel chosen rather than needed. And here's the deeper truth. When you maintain your own world, you communicate something powerful about your worth. You show that you're someone with value independent of any relationship. You demonstrate that while you enjoy his company, you don't require it to feel complete. That kind of rule Bay 3-8, stay mysterious and emotionally calm, self-possession is incredibly attractive because it's increasingly rare. Rule number 3, master the art of emotional restraint. This is the rule that separates unforgettable women from forgettable ones, and it's the hardest one for most women to master. Emotional restraint doesn't mean being cold or withholding your feelings. It means understanding that emotional intensity should match emotional investment, and that sharing everything you feel the moment you feel it actually diminishes its impact. Women who haunt men's thoughts understand that emotions are like spices. A little bit enhances the flavor, but too much overwhelms the dish. They don't dump every feeling, every worry, every excitement on a man the second it occurs to them. They understand that timing and proportionality matter. Most women, when they're falling for someone, want to share every emotion as it happens. They want to process every feeling together, analyze every interaction, discuss every concern. They think this creates intimacy, but what it actually creates is emotional overload. It makes the man feel like he's responsible for managing not just his own emotions, but hers as well. But the women men miss are the ones who process their emotions internally first, then shared what was worth sharing when the timing was right. They didn't expect him to be their therapist, their best friend, and their romantic partner all at once. They understood that mystery and emotional independence are part of what keeps attraction alive. This doesn't mean being fake or hiding who you are. It means understanding that emotional maturity involves self-regulation. It means recognizing that just because you feel something doesn't mean it needs to be expressed immediately or at all. It means choosing your emotional moments wisely so they have maximum impact. When you master emotional restraint, your feelings carry more weight when you do share them. If you're always expressing every emotion at full volume, nothing you say feels particularly significant. But when you're generally composed and then you share something deep or vulnerable, it feels precious and important. Men miss women who made them feel trusted with their emotions rather than burdened by them. They miss women who shared their inner world selectively, making those moments of emotional intimacy feel like gifts rather than obligations. Think about it. When someone tells you they love you after knowing you for a week, it doesn't feel meaningful. But when someone who rarely expresses deep emotion tells you they love you after months of building connection, it feels earth-shattering. The restraint makes the expression more powerful. Women who understand this rule don't suppress their emotions. They curate them. They feel everything, but they express strategically. They save their deepest vulnerabilities for moments when they'll be truly heard and appreciated. They understand that emotional restraint isn't about hiding who they are. It's about revealing who they are in the most impactful way possible. This kind of emotional sophistication is magnetic because it shows self-control, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence. It shows that you're someone who thinks before acting, who considers the impact of your words and actions. And men don't forget women who made them feel like every emotional moment was meaningful rather than overwhelming. Rule number 4, never be completely knowable. The women who become permanently etched in men's Rule 5 value yourself more than his attention memories are the ones who maintained an element of mystery throughout the entire relationship. Not because they were secretive or dishonest, but because they understood that being completely knowable is the death of fascination. When there's nothing left to discover about someone, there's nothing left to miss about them. Most women, in their desire to create intimacy, share everything. They tell every story from their past, reveal every thought as it occurs, explain every motivation behind every action. They think this creates closeness, but what it actually creates is completion. And when a man feels like he's figured you out entirely, his curiosity dies. But the women men can't shake from their thoughts are the ones who revealed themselves in layers. They shared generously, but they always kept something in reserve. Not because they were hiding things, but because they understood that mystery is what keeps someone interested in discovering more. This doesn't mean being closed off or secretive about important things. It means understanding that you don't have to explain every quirk, reveal every vulnerability, or share every opinion to be authentic. It means recognizing that some things are more beautiful when they're discovered naturally over time rather than explained immediately. The women men miss are the ones who are depths. They were still discovering months into the relationship. They were women with layers, some parts easily accessible, some parts that revealed themselves only in quiet moments, some parts that remained beautifully mysterious even to those closest to them. When you're never completely knowable, you remain interesting. There's always something more to discover, always another layer to explore, always a sense that you're deeper and more complex than you initially appeared. This keeps a man's curiosity alive and engaged rather than satisfied and moving on to the next source of stimulation. Think about your favorite book or movie. It's not your favorite because everything was explained in the first chapter or scene. It's your favorite because it revealed its depths gradually, keeping you engaged and wanting to understand more. The same principle applies to human attraction and memory. Men don't miss women who were open books from day one. They miss women who were fascinating novels that they were still reading when the relationship ended. They miss women who made them feel like there was always more to discover, always another layer to appreciate. This rule also protects you from becoming too invested too quickly. When you reveal everything immediately, you become emotionally naked before you know if the person deserves that level of access to your inner. But when you maintain some mystery, you naturally protect your emotional energy while building intrigue. Women who master this understand that being authentic doesn't mean being completely transparent. It means being genuinely yourself while understanding that yourself is complex enough that it doesn't need to be fully revealed to be fully appreciated. They know that the most attractive thing about them isn't any one quality. It's the sense that there's always something more to discover. And here's what happens when you're never completely knowable. Men start to see you as a person rather than a conquest. They see you as someone to explore rather than someone to figure out and move on from. They see you as mysterious and fascinating rather than familiar and predictable. The psychology behind what happens when you apply these rules work. Now that you understand the 4 rules, let's dive into why they create such powerful psychological responses in men. Understanding the why behind these principles will help you apply them authentically rather than just going through the motions. The human brain is wired to value what requires effort and to take for granted what comes easily. This is called the effort justification principle in psychology. When we have to work for something, our brain tells us it must be valuable. When something is handed to us without effort, our brain assumes it's not particularly special. This is why men miss women who applied these rules, because loving these women required investment, attention, and genuine effort. The relationship felt valuable because it had to be earned and maintained, not because it was guaranteed regardless of behavior. Men also have a psychological need to feel capable and accomplished. When you make loving, you feel inevitable. Always keep yourself completely available, will show no emotional restraint, and reveal everything immediately. You remove all opportunities for him to feel like he's succeeding in the relationship. You make the relationship feel too easy, which paradoxically makes it feel less rewarding. But when you apply these 4 rules, you create multiple opportunities for him to feel successful. He gets to feel like he's winning your affection when you show appreciation for his efforts. He gets to feel accomplished when he captures your interest despite your busy life. He gets to feel trusted when you share something vulnerable with him. He gets to feel special when he discovers something new about you. The women men miss are the ones who made them feel like better versions of themselves. Not because they constantly told them they were amazing, but because they created situations where men could actually demonstrate their worth and capability. They made love feel like an achievement rather than a participation trophy. There's also something called the Zeigarnik effect in psychology. We remember interrupted or incomplete tasks better than completed ones. When you apply these rules, you create emotional incompleteness. The man never feels like he's completely won you, completely figured you out, completely secured your affection permanently. This keeps you active in his mind rather than filed away as conquered territory. Men don't miss women who made them feel complete because there's nowhere to go from completion. They miss women who made them feel like they were on an exciting journey that got interrupted, leaving them wondering what could have been discovered next. How to apply these rules without losing your authenticity. The biggest fear women have about the power of emotional detachment applying these rules is that they'll have to become someone they're not. But that's exactly backward. These rules aren't about changing who you are. They're about protecting who you are from being diminished by poor relationship habits. Being authentic doesn't mean sharing everything the moment you feel it. It means being genuine when you do choose to share. Being real doesn't mean being available all the time. It means being present when you choose to be available. Being yourself doesn't mean having no boundaries or standards. It means knowing yourself well enough to understand what you need to thrive. Start by examining your current patterns. Do you tend to drop everything when someone shows interest? Do you share every emotion as it happens? Do you reveal your entire life story on early dates? Do you make your love feel guaranteed regardless of how you're treated? If so, you're not being more authentic. You're being less strategic about protecting your authentic self. The goal isn't to become mysterious and unavailable. The goal is to become selective about when and how you're available. It's to become intentional about what you share and when. It's to become protective of your energy and generous with your standards. Remember, these rules work because they reflect genuine self-respect and emotional intelligence. You're not pretending to have other interests. You're maintaining the interests that make you who you are. You're not faking emotional restraint. You're developing genuine emotional maturity. You're not creating artificial mystery. You're protecting the natural complexity that makes you fascinating. When you apply these rules authentically, you don't become a different person. You become a more empowered version of yourself. You become someone who loves from strength rather than need, who shares from choice rather than compulsion, who gives from fullness rather than emptiness. The transformation from forgettable to unforgettable. Let me paint a picture of what happens when women actually live by these 4 rules, because the transformation is remarkable and the results speak for themselves. Take Sarah, who used to be the woman who made herself completely available the moment she felt a connection. She would cancel final motivation, be the woman he remembers her own plans, share every feeling immediately, reveal her entire history within weeks, and make her love feel guaranteed regardless of effort. She was kind, genuine, and loving, but she was also completely forgettable. Men would enjoy her company, appreciate her devotion, and then move on without looking back. Then she learned these rules. She started maintaining her own plans and interests, sharing